In this tutorial, I'm going to show you two easy methods on how to sew these beautiful shorts. The other method will have no side seams joining, then the other method will have side seams joining. So you can subscribe for more. Okay, so let's start with drafting the pattern. So I have my fabric, I have two pieces, one will be for the front and the other one is going to be for the back. So I'm going to start by drafting the front. I'll put the back fabric aside. So this is going to be for the front. I'm going to fold it so then I'm going to start drafting the pattern. So I'm just going to get my chalk, my measuring tape and my ruler to help me with the pattern drafting. So like I said, we're going to fold one side, then I'm going to draw a horizontal line across, and this is going to be my starting point where I'm going to be starting all my markings. So I'm just going to draw a line, as you can see. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my measuring tape and I'm going to mark my waist. I'm going to mark 2 inches for the waistband. So this waistband is going to be folded. I'm going to sew it together with the shorts. It's more like an in-belt waistband. Then I'm going to mark my waist to hip measurement by placing the measuring tape from the waist to the hip. So you have to measure yourself. So this short is for a little girl, so it's going to be, the measurement is going to be smaller. For an adult, waist to hip is about 9 to 10 inches, 9 and 8 inches. That is the standard. Then next I'm going to find my crotch depth. So to get your crotch depth, you have to sit on a flat surface, then place the measuring tape from your waist down to the seat. Whatever measurement you find, that's your crotch depth. Or alternatively, you can just divide your hip by 4, then you add 1 inch. So I've just marked my crotch depth over there. And the next thing I'm going to do is find the short full length and also add hemming allowance. So I'm just going to draw a horizontal line, as you can see right there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my waist, my hip circumference, divide by 4 plus wearing ease of 2 inches and another 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll mark it over there. So yes, I'm marking the hip measurement on the waist because we're going to put an elastic band. So I'm going to mark the same on the hip and on the crotch line. So remember, this short is for a little girl, so the measurements can appear slightly smaller. For an adult, you can just use the actual measurements that you're going to take. The next thing I'm going to find is my crotch extension. So you're going to get this measurement here on the waist, hip and crotch, which is 7 inches, then divide it by 4. You just have to fold your tape 4 times. That is another easiest way of dividing by 4, or you can just do your math. So I've divided by 4, then I have my result over there. I'll mark it over there. Then I'm going to curve my crotch extension. So I'm just going to use my French curve. Then the next thing I'm going to do is connect my shorts down to the full length and seam allowance. So guys, I'm going to show you how to sew 2 types. One will be without joining on the sides and the other one will be joining. So I'm just going to cut out. So on the part where I folded, I'm not going to trim it off. I'll leave it instant. That's how the style will be of not joining. So let's draft the back side of the shorts. So the back side of the shorts is only going to be for the second method of sewing. For the first method of sewing, we're going to use the same front I made. I'm just going to make another one for the back without any modifications. For the second method of sewing, that's the one we need this back modification. So just keep watching and I'll show you what I mean soon. So for the back, we're going to extend by 1.5 inches and 2 inches. So just place the front piece on another fabric like I did, then trace out the back piece of the shorts. Then that's how you have your back piece, and as you can see, the back is slightly bigger than the front. And like I said, for the first method of sewing, we're not going to use different sizes of the back. The same measurement for the front is the same for the back as well. So now I'm just going to remove the pins and we're going to start sewing. But before we do that, I'll extend the markings for the waistband for the back, as you can see. So now let's start sewing, starting with the method number 1, sewing the shorts. So we need our elastic waistband as well to put in the waist. So the elastic waistband will measure using your waist measurement. Subtract 4 inches from your waist, then cut off. So if your waist is say 20 inches, you have to less 4 inches, then you're going to use an elastic of 16 inches. So let's start sewing with method 1 of no side seam joining. So remember what I said, the folded part of my shorts, this side, I haven't cut it out. So that way we're not going to have a seam joining. And I'm going to use 2 front pieces that are the same. I'm not going to use this other big one for the back. So I drafted 2 similar, the same front piece. I made another one. So before we start sewing, let's press the fabric. So I'm just going to press. Then remember, the shorts will need to be hemmed, and also this is the waist for the elastic band. You can press it in advance if you want as well. Fold it like I'm doing. So like I said, for this method 1 without seam joining, I'm going to use 2 front pieces. The front and back will have the same size. It won't be like the back is bigger than the front. They are all going to have the same size. The same front piece I drafted, I went ahead and made another duplicate, which will be for my right and my left leg. So I'll show you just that soon. And guys, if you are finding this video tutorial interesting, you can give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more. So pressing is very important. It helps to give a perfect look. So let's begin with the first method. This is how we're going to sew the shorts. First one, I'm going to hem the shorts. You can hem it at the start, or you can hem it later on. It's up to you, but I'm preferring this method of hemming the shorts. As you can see, this is my right side of the shorts, and there will be no side seam. It's intact. I didn't cut it. It's still intact. So I'm just going to cut out. Then, so I have hemmed. This is how beautiful it looks. And I'm also going to hem or fold the top part for my elastic, the part where I'm supposed to put my elastic. However, you have to leave about 2 inches opening on each side of the part for putting the elastic. So now let's right sides facing each other. I'm going to stitch. Remember, the shorts has no sides joint seams, so I'm just going to stitch the inseam. As you can see, the outside is already intact. You don't have to stitch because I did not cut it. So I'm just going to stitch the inseams, as you can see, making it without any side seam joining. So I'm going to stitch one for the right side and the other one for the left leg. So for this pattern, we only have left and right. There's no front and back. So I'm going to stitch the other one as well. Then after stitching, this is what we have. As you can see, there's no side seam, only the inseams were joined. So I'm going to turn it out. Then I'm going to join them together. I'll join them on the crotch. This is my left and right, no back and front, just left and right. So attach them at the center and start stitching them. As you can see, I'll join the right and left legs together. And like I said, when sewing on the waist, you have to leave about a few inches opening. This is where it will be helpful. When at this side, you leave 1 to 2 inches opening this side. This is on the waist, and this side, and on the other side as well. You can trim off with your seam ripper in case you forgot to do this. On all the 4 sides, you have to leave these openings because it will be helpful when inserting in the elastic later on. So I'm just going to join them, starting you open the parts and start joining from the top like so, then stitch them down on both sides. I repeat, guys, make sure you leave this 1 inch opening, 1 inch on both sides. Then when you attach them, it will be equivalent to 2 inch opening. So let's sew. So we're going to do this on this other end, and also on the other end of the shorts you do the same. And remember, I repeat, make sure you leave an opening for the inserting of the elastic band, or else you're going to have issues. So I've just finished stitching, and now we're going to start inserting the last band. As you can see, there are no side joinings. All the sides are intact, no side seams. So I'm now going to, on the openings, both in front and back, we left out a few inches. So I'm going to use my safety pin and the elastic band, which is 4 inches less the waist measurement. So I'm just going to insert the elastic with the safety pin, as you can see me do. So it's very easy, guys. So guys, if you find this video useful, make sure you subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and leave a kind comment. I'll be so grateful to hear from you. So this is how beautiful the shorts look. So let's move on to method number 2, which is the one with side seams. So this is a very easy and common method. So for this method, the folded part has been cut, making it 4 pieces. For the 4 pieces for the front, 2 pieces for the front, sorry, and 2 pieces for the back, as you can see. And the back has 2 pieces, and the back is bigger. The other method, we only had the left and right, but this one we have the front and back. So we're going to start sewing by joining these 2 together, the 2 fronts. Join them on the crotch, and this is the folding for the elastic. So remember this method, you have the front 2 pieces that are smaller and the back 2 pieces that are bigger. But for the first method, the left and the right were the same size. No leg was bigger than the other, both were the same size. So I'm going to do the same with the back. I'm going to stitch in the crotch area. So just take it to my sewing machine and run a straight stitch. So after stitching, I'm just going to cut out the threads. Then you can go ahead and overlock the seams and also press the seams open. But I'm not going to use the overlocker in this tutorial. I'm going to use my pinking shears. So the pinking shears, scissors, special scissors. These are pinking shears that have blades, and when you cut, they leave a zigzag shape. They help to prevent fraying. So I'm just going to use my tiny cute pinking shears. Then I'm going to do the same with the back piece. I'm going to join the two pieces together. Just take it to the sewing machine and join the two pieces together. I'll use my pinking shears to prevent fraying. Then I'm going to press my seams open. So the next thing I'm going to do is, as you can see, I've stitched. I'll make the right sides facing each other. I'll place them on top of each other. Then I'm going to stitch on the sides. Stitch on the sides on both sides of the shorts, the front and back. So just take it to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch to stitch both front and back, or stitch on both sides. Then after stitching, this is what I have. I'm going to now stitch the inseam. So I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch the inseams now. Then for the sides, you can press the seams open and use your overlocker to finish the seams or pinking shears. So I'm just going to start stitching the inseam, as you can see. So after stitching, I'm going to use my scissors to trim off, and then I'm going to hem. I'll fold the hem and start stitching. It's very important to hem. So after hemming, I'm also going to sew the top part from the waist for my elastic band. I'll sew like I'm hemming, but I'm going to leave 2 inches for inserting my elastic. So I've just sewn the waist area, and also I've also hemmed. So I'm going to leave out 2 inches for inserting the elastic. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my elastic and my safety pin to start inserting the elastic. So as usual, the elastic is about 4 inches less than the waist. Then we're going to start putting it like I am doing. So this is what we have. Then the part where we left out an opening, I'm just going to use my hand sewing needle, and first I'm going to stitch the 2 elastics together with my hand sewing needle, and the same part where I left out an opening, I'm going to sew with my hand sewing needle. Thanks for watching, guys.